Have you ever locked eyes with someone and felt an electric, almost primal pull, like they could see straight into your soul? That moment wasn't just chemistry, it was a glimpse into the hidden depths of the unconscious mind. Carl Jung, the legendary psychologist, uncovered that the eyes don't just reflect emotion, they reveal a truth deeper than words. And if you see this when he looks at you, his soul has already claimed you as its own. Carl Jung taught us that the human psyche speaks in symbols, and nowhere is this more powerful than in the language of the eyes. Behind every glance is the shadow of the collective unconscious, the part of us that recognizes love before the mind even understands it. When you're drawn to someone's gaze, it's not just attraction, it's projection. We see fragments of our own soul mirrored back at us, and in that moment, something ancient awakens. The eyes betray what the lips dare not say, and today, you'll learn exactly how to decode them. There's something almost magical about the way eyes betray the secrets of the heart, long before the mind catches up. Carl Jung understood this better than anyone, revealing that attraction isn't just a matter of chance or chemistry, but a dance of the unconscious. When you notice his pupils dilate as he looks at you, it's more than a biological response to light. It's a silent confession. Science confirms that pupils expand when we see something, or someone, that captivates us, but Jung took it further. He saw this physical reaction as a bridge between the body and the symbolic language of the soul. If his eyes darken, soften, or widen when you're near, it's not just interest. It's his unconscious reaching for you before he even realizes it himself. This isn't about fleeting attraction. It's a primal signal that you've stirred something deep within him, something he can't control. Then there's that rare, almost electric moment when his gaze holds more than admiration. It carries a quiet awe, as if he's seeing something familiar yet mysteriously unknown. This is the anima at work. Jung taught that every man carries within him an inner feminine essence, an archetype shaped by his experiences, dreams, and unmet longings. When he looks at you with a mix of fascination and reverence, it's because you've become the living embodiment of that hidden inner world. He's not just seeing you, he's seeing the reflection of his own soul's missing piece. This is why some connections feel faded, as if you've stepped into a role written for you long before you met. His unconscious has already recognized you, even if he can't explain why. But what about those times when you lock eyes and feel an uncanny sense of recognition, as though you've known each other for lifetimes? Jung called this the pull of the collective unconscious, the shared reservoir of human experience that lives beneath our personal memories. When his gaze carries this unspoken familiarity, it's not just déjà vu. It's the echo of ancient patterns, lover and beloved, hunter and muse, playing out once again. This is why some strangers feel like home at first sight. His eyes might linger a second too long, or his expression might soften with an unguarded honesty that surprises even him. These are the moments when the masks slip, and the unconscious takes the lead. And then there's the intensity, the kind that sends a shiver down your spine. It's not just desire, it's something fiercer, more possessive. Jung's concept of the shadow explains this perfectly. The shadow is the part of us we hide, the raw, untamed emotions society teaches us to suppress. But in love, the shadow rises. If his gaze sharpens when another person gets too close to you, or if his eyes hold a quiet intensity that feels almost overwhelming, it's his shadow whispering, "Mine." This isn't about control. It's about the unconscious claiming what it has already decided belongs to it. There's a vulnerability in this kind of look, too, because the shadow doesn't lie. When he looks at you this way, he's revealing a part of himself that few ever see. These signs, pupils widening with unconscious attraction, the anima's awe, the deep-seated recognition of the collective unconscious, and the shadow's possessive fire, are the silent language of a bond that goes beyond words. Jung's genius was in showing us that love isn't just felt, it's seen. And once you learn to read these signals, you'll never doubt his true feelings again. When you recognize these unconscious signals in his eyes, the next step is knowing how to respond in a way that deepens the connection rather than disrupts it. The key lies in working with the natural rhythms of psychological attraction, meeting his energy without overwhelming it, creating space for mystery, and allowing the unconscious bond to strengthen organically. One of the most powerful yet subtle ways to respond is through mirroring. This isn't about imitation or playing games. It's about attuning yourself to the energy he's putting out and reflecting it back in a way that feels natural. If his gaze is soft and lingering, match that warmth rather than looking away too quickly. If his energy is playful, let your own expression lighten in response. Mirroring works because it speaks directly to the unconscious mind, creating a sense of familiarity and comfort. Jung understood that we are drawn to those who feel like reflections of ourselves, not in a narcissistic way, but in the sense of shared emotional rhythms. When you mirror effectively, you're not just flirting, you're creating a silent dialogue between your unconscious minds, one that bypasses the need for excessive words and taps into something far more primal. Then there's the art of eye contact, specifically holding it just long enough to spark intrigue without tipping into discomfort. Studies have shown that prolonged eye contact, around 3 seconds or more, releases oxytocin, the so-called bonding hormone, which fosters feelings of connection and trust. But from a Jungian perspective, it's more than just biology. The eyes are the literal and symbolic gateway to the soul, and when you hold someone's gaze, you're inviting them into your inner world. The trick is to make it feel intentional but not aggressive. Let your eyes soften slightly, as if you're seeing something fascinating in him, then break away naturally, but not too soon. That fleeting moment of tension, where neither of you looks away immediately, is where the unconscious registers possibility. It's not about staring him down, it's about giving his psyche just enough to want more. Finally, there's the power of mystery, something Jung emphasized repeatedly in his work. The unconscious is drawn to what it doesn't fully understand, to the parts of a person that can't be immediately categorized or explained. This is why oversharing too soon can kill attraction, no matter how strong the initial connection. When you reveal everything about yourself all at once, you leave no room for the unconscious to wonder, to project, to fill in the gaps with its own longing. Instead of explaining yourself exhaustively, let some questions linger. If he asks about your passions, share enough to intrigue him but not so much that there's nothing left to discover. If you feel the urge to fill every silence, resist it. Those quiet moments are where the unconscious does its most potent work, weaving narratives and fantasies that are often more compelling than reality. Mystery isn't about being cryptic or dishonest. It's about understanding that attraction thrives in the space between what's said and what's imagined. Together, these responses, mirroring, intentional eye contact, and the preservation of mystery, create a dynamic where the connection isn't forced but nurtured by the unconscious itself. You're not manipulating the interaction, you're aligning with the natural psychological currents that Jung spent his life mapping. When you respond this way, you're not just engaging with the person in front of you, you're speaking directly to the deepest parts of his psyche, the parts that recognize you before his conscious mind even knows why. While the eyes can reveal profound truths about attraction, they can also betray deception, especially when what you're seeing isn't soulful connection, but something far more hollow. Jungian psychology helps us distinguish between genuine unconscious attraction and the predatory gaze of narcissism or emotional unavailability. One of the most telling signs is the quality of his gaze. Real connection carries warmth, depth, and a sense of vulnerability. You'll notice micro-expressions of softness, curiosity, or even nervousness flickering in his eyes. But when the gaze feels flat, performative or oddly detached despite intense focus, you may be dealing with someone whose interest is rooted in ego rather than authentic emotional resonance. Narcissistic attraction often presents as a kind of empty intensity. The eyes may lock onto you with a laser focus, but instead of feeling seen, you feel scrutinized or even objectified. There's no mutuality in his gaze, no sense that he's allowing himself to be vulnerable in return. Jung warned about the dangers of one-sided projection, where a person sees only what they want to see in you, their idealized anima or a mirror for their own grandiosity, rather than engaging with you as a real, complex individual. If his eyes seem to admire you but never truly soften, if his attention feels more like an appraisal than an invitation, trust that instinct. The unconscious doesn't lie in these moments. That chill down your spine is your psyche recognizing the absence of reciprocity. Another red flag is inconsistency between his eyes and other body language. Genuine Jungian attraction creates harmony in nonverbal cues. The pupils dilate, the muscles around the eyes crinkle with warmth, the gaze lingers with a natural rhythm. But when someone's interest is performative or manipulative, you'll notice a disconnect. His words might be affectionate, his gestures might be attentive, but his eyes remain strangely still, as if he's observing rather than experiencing the moment. This is the hallmark of emotional calculation rather than unconscious surrender to connection. Perhaps most importantly, real attraction rooted in the unconscious carries a quality of surrender. You can see him wrestling with his own vulnerability in the way his eyes flicker or momentarily drop when the connection becomes too intense. The shadow work of love means confronting parts of ourselves we usually keep hidden, and that discomfort is visible in the eyes. But when his gaze feels too controlled, too polished, or worse, when it seems to shift based on who else is watching, you're likely dealing with someone whose interest is transactional. The key is to observe without rationalizing. Your intuition evolved to detect these subtle cues for a reason. If you find yourself constantly questioning whether his eyes reflect real feeling or simply mirror back what you want to see, that doubt itself is an answer. Jungian attraction is never ambiguous. It resonates in the body as much as the mind, creating a sense of recognition too deep to dismiss. When the eyes truly belong to the soul, you won't need to decipher them. You'll know. As we've explored today, the eyes reveal far more than words ever could, especially when viewed through the lens of Carl Jung's wisdom. Remember these 4 powerful signs: the unconscious pull of pupil dilation when he's drawn to you, the soul-deep recognition of anima projection in his awestruck gaze, the ancient familiarity of a collective unconscious bond, and the raw, protective intensity of his shadow rising to claim what it desires. These are the silent languages of true attraction, written in the subtle flickers and unguarded moments that bypass logic entirely. The next time you lock eyes with someone special, watch closely. The truth isn't in grand gestures or perfect phrases. It's in those fleeting, unscripted moments when the unconscious takes over. Trust what you see. More importantly, trust how it makes you feel. Your intuition already understands these signals better than your conscious mind ever could. Now we'd love to hear from you. Have you ever noticed these Jungian signs in someone's eyes? That inexplicable depth, that flash of recognition that defies explanation? Share your experiences in the comments below. Your story might help someone else recognize the real thing when they see it. And if this resonated with you, don't forget to like and subscribe for more insights into psychology, connection, and the hidden language of attraction. Until next time, keep watching and let the eyes tell you the truth.